Bill talked about change, and that goes for us as well. So normally I put a lot of slides up, talk about a lot of data really quickly. Fortunately for you today, I've already pre-recorded a 10-minute session. For those of you who are not interested, you can skip that. Otherwise, after the event, the great AV team is going to make that available for you. So instead, way more interesting, honored to be joined by Sean, who is a revenue director here for ACCOR and looks after the cluster. Talk about how does he use the data and whatnot. So one of the slides that I wanted to start with, you go to the first slide, please. Just talk about source markets, because it's so important to Thailand in source markets. The forecasting by Tourism Economics, they're talking about 2023 before we start seeing some international arrivals here. That looks a bit depressing. And all these, we know not many people are saying that Chinese are going to come back straight away. It's going to take time. Maybe in 23, maybe in 24 to the same volumes. How much do you look at this from a hotel perspective? You don't have a magic wand to make everyone come.
I know, of course, we need to really keep an eye on the flow that is coming into Thailand. I mean, I need to say that, first of all, we had anticipated some market source, but it turned out that now it's most of the European countries that, come in from UK, from Germany, and of course from the US that you're presenting here as well. Yeah, we keep really close eye on that.
So what markets do you see then, if we then hope and assume Q2 continues, be more progressive, where you're seeing more business now?
I will bet on from European countries, as I said, and then from the US. But yeah, spending or FX check will be different. We have seen some market that spend more, but that's still considered very minimal,
That's true. Yeah, my fellow Scandinavians and the Middle Eastern, they're a small market group, but they spend well. So welcome us more. That's good. Let's go to the next slide and talk about benchmarking. It's at the core of what we do. I'm very interested in it. So these slides, you've worked a lot with this and throughout your career. And as you can see, this is indexed to 2019. We're far away from where we want to be in Bangkok, no doubt. Rates haven't moved. We haven't seen much shift. Occupancies are going up, though. So are you changing, or have you changed how you look at data through the pandemic at all?
That's a very good question, Jesper, because what I have learned throughout the pandemic, before I used to keep sticking on my competitive set that's really near me. But nowadays, I have to look at the data in a broader view, because I don't look at my competitive set only. But what I looked at is the whole market, because later on you will see the slide that the average, ADR of all the hotel segment is pretty close. So I can't really keep an eye on my comp set. I look at the broader view. And of course, from total revenue perspective, no more RevPAR for me. I need to do whatever it takes to generate the revenue to my hotel. So I need to sacrifice room, generate F&B, sacrifice F&B, generate room. That's the key.
That makes sense. Okay, so it's an omni-crisis. You got to look at more data points and everything.
Yes.
And can you manage to do that?
Yeah, so far still doing okay.
Good to hear. Do you think a lot of those changes will stay, though? Because you've done that, you've had to change coming out of this.
Put it this way, if the customer learn to do something new, they will stick on it if they benefit from them. So I believe that I will keep an eye, and then I will hit the balance between what I have learned now and what it used to be, and of course it has to be a balance in the future.
That's true.
Yep.
Now, we see a nice little bump there, November, before pre-Omicron.
Yeah.
That looked nice. So let's remember that when we move to the next slide and talk about forecasting.
Yes.
So it's a lot of years out to look at. We get rates maybe coming back in 23, 24, looking really sharp, but the gap is very big, right? The gap is big for occupancy, but it takes time. But it's a big jump. Why will it come so quickly?
I would say because what I noticed before, the previous slide, I noticed when it was in November and December, and I think everyone in this room would notice as well, that the demand that it came that time, my forward on the book was pretty close to 2019, but only for FIT segment. And then it came very quick, and then Omicron came, and then everything collapsed. And I still believe that's gonna happen again in the future. Plus now we started to see some other segment, MICE and corporate, that started to come in. So I think this time it's going to be even better than November and December.
That's good. And what about your reaction speed, and how important is that? Because when that comes and you're looking, okay, we got to do something quickly, the new source markets, new ways of selling, everyone on board on the team, GMs, brands, owners, everything, has that changed?
It's changed actually. What I think everyone in this room as well, what is changed is the way we manage our business. In terms of profitability, that's the key thing. So we started to realize that actually we have learned to sacrifice sacrifice. I mean, I don't want to say sacrifice, but we have managed our staffing in the way that is more efficient. More staff or multitasked, and that really helped a lot in terms of profitability.
Yeah. Now, MICE and corporate remains very important, obviously, to Bangkok as well. We start to see it growing in the West and in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Are you seeing signs of that here too? Interests?
Yeah. We have seen, because started recently. We have seen corporate even from the US that started to come in. We have seen international MICE, even though the group size is not the same as here.
Only TTF can do that, baby. Yeah, man.
Only they can do that. But we started to see international MICE coming into towns as well. So that's a good sign. And then you've been into MICE event as well.
Yeah.
So you would have.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move to the last one and talk about
Yeah.
as people form their playbook, right? And look forward to this. You've been micro budgeting weeks, months now. Are you ready to lift your eye now and look next year and easier?
Yes, I am ready to look into that, and then we get open to the business that we are anticipating to come, and then I think we would somehow manage to put things in place, and then we have some key point that we will really look forward to doing that in that sense.
But Thailand remains, look at today, collaboration is so important.
Yes.
How the GM Association here, you got Phuket Hotel Association doing great work. How has that increased for you, the ability to cooperate and collaborate?
As Karen spoke earlier, that we need to collaborate, and then to collaborate and see the importance of the whole, industry, and that's the key as well.
Excellent. Let's finish up with a couple of things because cost control has been difficult, right? So,
yes.
But one of the few things that you think will stay long term. Let's talk about staff.
Yeah. Staff, I would say that everyone in this room, especially the GMs or the owner that we agree here, we minimize the size of our manning, but even though the business comes back, we will not go back to when we were in 2019. We learn how to multitasking, and that will be the case for increasing our profitability.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then also the second point is how you use way more data,
yes.
and like in different aspects. And then finally,
yes.
airlines have changed the cancellation policies and everything. What about that for hotels? Been very flexible. What's going to happen to that?
Anyone here still having that prepaid and then don't cancel to your guests if they like to cancel their bookings? No, I think that's the flexibility we have. And yeah, we wish to have that prepaid rate comes back because that's the basic of revenue management, but we don't know when it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
So flexibility is also another thing that we need to.
That's amazing. I remain cautiously optimistic, as does Sean. If Q2, if we continue to see progressive stance, that we can start seeing some growth. There is a big jump up, but it can probably happen.
Yes.
Thanks to everyone for attending here today. Appreciate it. Hope to see you soon again. Thank you.
Thank
Sean.
you.